I'm wondering if there's any so the music biz full of glamour and full of just like superstars. Any particular vignettes or stories from the world of like the really cool parts of showbiz that you'd like to share?
You know, it's not what everybody thinks, especially it might have been in like the 60s and the 70s. We've seen those movies, right? Almost Famous or, whatever. But what has really touched me is just acts of like humanity within, when I get the chance to be, I really like artists. Let me start with that. I really, really like artists. I think they're extremely sensitive people who are trying to share something. They're trying to receive love, and they have to work with these massive systems to do that, whether that system is a concert promoter or a music company or Twitter, whatever. But there's kind of this machine that you have to put your art into.
Mm.
And the courage that it takes for someone who opens their heart up and says, here's some music that expresses the pain I have inside. Now let me put it into this machine and pray to God that you guys all like it, because it's going to crush me if you don't. I have a giant soft spot. Like I want to
Yeah.
be part of that process. I want to help them. I love those people. So that's the first thing. So it tends to touch me as acts of humanity. Like I saw the first yoga in my life I saw was Chris Martin while I was on tour with Coldplay. He was also the first vegan I really knew, and had my first kind of vegan meals, and that's touching to me. And when my mom was dying, the last trip we took as a family, we went down to Puerto Vallarta, and a friend of mine who's an artist named Alejandro Fernandez, like, loaned us his plane, helped us find a house to stay in, and we go down there. And my other friend, Enrique Iglesias, who literally we started in the concert business on the same day together. And my mom knew me. No matter what job I had, she would tell people, oh, I think he's Enrique Iglesias' concert promoter. I think he does shows with Enrique Iglesias. No matter how big my job got, I was defined by this. And so Enrique finds out that I'm in Puerto Vallarta and he's in Puerto Vallarta. So he sends me a message. Hey, like, I heard you here. I'd like to come say hi to your mom. And I was like, that's so sweet, dude. Like, you don't have to do that. Don't worry about it. No, I want to. And then I kept trying to give him an out because I didn't want him to feel obligated to do it. Finally, he was just like, hey, I want to see your mom. And so like we met in like this crossroad, literally like this dirt road in the middle of the desert of Mexico. We're parked at like some little gas station. And I have this great picture of like Enrique with my mom. And my mom's like just tickled, and it's like that he did that. Those stories are the ones that like really like move me, like just this act of like humanity and caring about someone. That for me is like very touching.
Mm. I hadn't really thought of how artists are sensitive people, but I see now that if they're like pulling this art from somewhere and through their own expression and their heart and stuff, so they're like perfectly tuned to be able to create and
Yes.
express this stuff. And then also thinking about like this machine that they have to put it into, which seems much more like sinister in a lot of ways. And well, I want to ask you, because I get this weird vibe sometimes. Like there's uh, the Grammys this year, I believe, had like weird like burning down of neighborhoods,
Mm.
and that ended up happening like with the civil unrest. And then this
Uh-huh.
the woman who won a bunch of Grammys. I'm trying to remember her name. Like she showed up before the pandemic, but wearing a mask, like
Mm.
sort of. And it's just these weird little things, and
Yeah.
then all the way going back to the Rolling Stones, where they're like the album, they're like Satanic Majesty. And I'm wondering, like, what's with this weird symbolism in the music biz, and sort of like, I know there's symbolism and things when you do a live show, you're trying to create some impact. I'm wondering if you could just talk about like what's going on here.
Well, first I go back to something you said. I don't think the machine is sinister. I actually think the machine is cold,
Mm.
and it's it but it's very necessary, because without it we don't have any of this music or TV, or like, and to do that you have to create a machine, right? Literally, like, you have to create a machine, and you have to get something that can take all of this chaotic art and figure out how to put it in pieces that you and I can then consume on some device in some way. So I see, like, like when I'm working as a manager or a consultant to an artist, I very much see my role as a bridge between two very necessary things. One, the art, the chaos of the art, and two, kind of the methodical moving of a machine. And both of those are necessary because they need each other, but they speak totally different languages. Like,
Mm.
they're not good for each other, and both of them will cause the other one to break down. And so you need people in the middle. And then I think, as far as the art goes, I think artists are really sensitive to what's going on. And I don't I don't mean like they see the future, but I think they feel it.
Mm.
I think you think about a human being who is capable of attracting 20,000 people to spend a couple $100s of their hard-earned money on a ticket, to drive an hour to a venue, to stand in really long lines, to get searched, to go into a place where there's 20,000 people, and then to drive home. It's like a huge undertaking that, like, we wouldn't do this for like a mattress, or, like, if I told you, hey, to get a mattress, you got to be like, yeah, stop it. Like, I'll buy it on Amazon is the only way I'll do it, kind of. So I think artists are really attuned, and they're also very attuned to pain, because what is being expressed through art is always a way of saying, do you love me now? Like, I don't think, yeah, I think pain is being expressed through art, and I think artists are looking for love, and that's why you're on a stage with 20,000 people, because you want that level of love. And they can take 20,000 people and make them sing as one. So there is a really special tuned instrument there in that artist that can feel things that you and I just don't
Mm.
feel. I'll tell you a quick story. I was at the Jimmy Kimmel show with an artist, and he was doing his sound check, and he hears something in the monitor. And this happens all the time. And the guy who's running the production says the sound's not there, and the singer says the sound is there, and the sound's not there, and the singer is there. Now the singer's getting upset because he can hear something that's driving him batty that no one else can hear. And I realized in that moment, one, I knew he was right, and he was. They eventually found what the sound was. But I realized in that moment, wow, he doesn't turn that off when he comes off stage. He is always sensitive to things that I have no idea exist. And so there is this thing going on where, like, some of us are sensitive to things. And then I think if we get in touch with it, most of us are sensitive to something, which is what makes us special at what we do. But artists in this, and going back to your original question, I just think artists are feeling into the pain of this time.
Mm.
It's kind of a bleak, dark, burny, fiery time that we're living in. And so I think it makes sense that you have a lot of imagery that reflects that.